set up the business, I'd never sold a house. You go along thinking it's all good, even when you know it's not. And then one day you're like, look, wake up, man. You're not fine. You know, he sold his house. I felt really responsible. It was really, really tough.
Knowing you, I'd imagine that was a lot of weight to carry.
It was really hard. If you have belief, it means that you're going to go the certain distance with it.
If someone believes in you, it changes you. They don't realise how powerful that is. They win or blame, they don't win or learn. I think if everything is my fault, it's got to be black and white for you to move on.
Every time we walk through a door, we're going to bank $2,000. Doesn't matter whether they're listening to us or not. Fear of the instruction is negligible. It doesn't matter.
Welcome to the next episode of Estate Agent Showdown, and I am joined by someone I've known for probably about 8 years. 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, it probably is, yeah. That's a long punishment, that.
It is. Yeah. You get, what is it? You get worse for life, I don't know, or for killing someone. I'm not sure what the bloody saying is. We've been spinning our wheels and talking about all sorts of things, so we've just pressed, let's go ahead. Simon Efford, welcome to Estate Agent Showdown.
Thank you very much.
There's no real showdown though, is it, today?
Well, yeah, there should be a bit of a banter going on.
Bit of banter.
It could work quite well.
Well, for those who don't know you, because you're like an undercover, you don't really put yourself out there too much unless there's something humorous that you've wanted to share on socials. You don't tend to talk too much in the public forum about business and a estate agency and everything else. So let's go back in time and maybe when did you start in a estate agency? What's your career background?
So the bit probably most people don't know is when I set up the business, I'd never sold a house.
Okay.
So I was in property management. I worked for a company, looked after about 400 properties. And so I did that for a number of years. I think it was about 10 years. So I knew property management inside out. And working within the estate agency, it started to intrigue me a little bit to where I saw the industry going in the sales side. And I felt that certainly in the company I was working with, the estate agents were pretty lazy, to be honest. And that they were moving with the digital market because it's obviously becoming a much more digitalised world, social media and all those things. So the high street wasn't as prominent, and I was getting this itch to maybe do something. And then I went to the National Association of Estate Agents.
Oh, tell us more.
I got sent there begrudgingly, and I was really irritated by it because they were like, "Go along to this thing." I thought I couldn't think of anything more boring in my life, and I went there, and it was very boring. Until a speaker come on.
Oh God!
This jumping jack, excitable man called Matt Giggs come on stage.
Oh God, I remember that. Was that in Duxford?
It was Duxford, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were bouncing around telling everybody how brilliant the selling houses is and the industry is the best thing in the world and why is everyone so fucking miserable. And
well, I think I came on after some guy delivering loads of data.
Yes, it was.
If memory serves me right.
He was proper boring.
And the temperature of the room was quite low, if I remember correctly.
And you had a tough gig, I think, because you were after lunch as well. So
I was after lunch.
Yeah,
I tend to get that one, the after lunch slot.
So I found it very inspiring, and it really nudged me and resonated. And I was like, could I set up an estate agency where, without any experience of selling homes, is my philosophy of where the industry's going in terms of more client attention, less, estate agents spend their time just fighting each other for market share, squeezing each other's fees, and they don't really do anything much proactive, don't really do enough for their communities. This is generalising. I'm not saying all estate agents are like this, obviously not. I was saying that's the perception I had, certainly with the firm I was working with. And then in our town, and thought, well, could it work? So I asked probably a dozen people. They all said, no, it definitely won't work. That's a stupid idea. Which made me even more determined.
You sound like one of those kind of people. If you say no, don't do it. That's it. You're going to go and do it.
Well, it's just you've got to have. If you have belief, you're interested in opinions for the reason, for the information you need. It doesn't mean it means that you're going to go the certain distance with it. And my guy that I work with, Andrew, at the time I was the head of lettings. He was sort of the number two. So he did a lot of the valuations. He'd been in an estate agency before.
Yeah.
He'd failed in it before under a franchise model. So I one day just woke up and thought, I'm going to do this, because it's difficult to fail in something when you don't do it. Because at the end of the day, if I'd sat with this same estate agency for 20 years and then gone, right, okay, I wish I'd done that in my 40s, and then just been, because I wasn't very happy there. So we decided to start it off. So we did, and that was in 2018. And then we've had a journey since then. So it was your fault, really, that we're in this position.
So it's my fault.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I don't mind. I accept responsibility. So you're a co-owner of Leysbrook Estate Agents based in Letchworth. Lovely part of the world as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Letchworth is lovely.
You're also a chairman of a football club there.
I am, yeah, Letchworth Garden City Eagles.
So you've got lots of time in your hands.
Loads of time to do, loads of stuff, loads of extra things.
We may or may not dip into that, because I know we end up having our mentor sessions every month, and it's like a half and half, isn't it, on both. But so let's just go back, because the business is running really well today.
It is doing well, yeah.
And then probably, not put words in your mouth, but maybe better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
For various reasons, but it's not always been like that. And I think the reason why I'm having more one-to-one conversations at the minute, certainly with people like yourselves, who aren't what I call industry leaders, as in you're not out there in the forums on LinkedIn and everywhere else, other than maybe putting a few gags out there here and there. You're kind of like a secret agency business owner. And, I always believe that most of the listeners, probably 98% of the listeners, are also the same. They are ploughing away in the background. And I think it's important to have relatable guests on this show as well, which is why I couldn't find anyone. So I thought I'd ask you. But no, in all fairness, our journey's been quite a long time working together, and it's and I've seen it all, warts and all, like every bit. And you've shared it with me, and we've had some really tough times.
Very tough times.
So tough times, create strong characters, I believe, and there'll be people listening to this that are going through some tough moments. So I think this is for them today. Let's go back to the toughest moments at the start.
Horrendous. It was very, very tough.
You're quite open with me and honest with me, and I did say before we started, look, how honest do you want to go?
Yeah.
Let's go honest.
No, it's horrific. It's some very dark times. I mean, we started June 2018, and you just hemorrhage money. Because I wasn't industry-based, you have this sort of romanticised plan of what you're going to do, and then you go out there and no one's biting at what you're doing. So, because it's different. So you're like, oh, right, okay, this isn't going to plan. It took us a long time to really get any listings going. So the money just hemorrhaging away. And I think it was about 18 months in. And the thing that I tried to do is I tried to get into more conversations with people who were successful in the industry. So Chris Watkin was a big help. I spoke to him on numerous occasions about various things, obviously very content-led in terms of what he does. And him helping you work out how you can differentiate yourself with your marketing. But then, there's no bottomless pit of money to get that message across to people. And sometimes you can lose focus on the core things you do, looking for the quick fix on the Facebook ads and the internet of, do this social media ad and you'll get all these, listings. And we spent hundreds of pounds on pro vows and all this sort of stuff, and it just wasn't paying off. And the thing with one of the big things we did quite early was I tried to get into conversations with yourself, because you'd obviously seen you at the National Estate Agency thing, and I wanted to get your advice on new startups, but all of your team were blocking me a conversation with you because you're that fucking...
Somebody else said that. It's like, did they?
Yeah. It's like, can I speak to Matt? He charges £1,000 an hour. You wouldn't be able to speak to him. And I'm like, is he Billy Big Balls? Right, okay.
Well, I just said, how much what's his revenue? And she said, well, not a lot at the minute. I said, well, just tell him it's £1,000 an hour. In all seriousness, I didn't. But
no, it was. And so, and then you had this group thing you're going to set up with agents. So you're looking for small agents, sharing experiences. You're going to put your input, work with them for 6 months, I think it was. And, I would... first come, first serve, and I was luckily saw the advert straight away, so I put myself in it, and that was a big help because then I started working with agents with yourself, where they are all businesses that are in various different stages. There were some that were bigger that were just going nowhere, treading treadmills, or they're going downhill, and there was ones that are trying to build their business. They were a few years in, and obviously I was fairly new in. So I was probably the rawest out of them all, and I had probably the biggest learning curve because I had no industry real knowledge about sales. But in a way, it probably helped most because I probably learnt the most because your messages have a lot to do with mindset and client focus and about doing the job well, not getting the listings. The listings will follow, whereas agents spend a lot of time just trying to get the listings, and that's half the problem because you're not cutting fees and all those sorts of things. And it's difficult when you're listing no houses to not do half your fees because you're not getting the houses on. But it's a double-edged sword because if you do that, then you're setting your precedent and you'll never grow your business. So it was difficult. So that was the sort of support network which worked well, but it wasn't still getting us enough through the door in terms of what we were doing. Unfortunately, the mentoring thing hung on, but in terms of things going really bad, I would say 18 months in, I had a real mental wobble. You may or may not remember it. I rang you up and said, "Oh, we're fucked here, and there's nothing we're going to be able to do here. We're done." And
what was that like?
It was horrific. Because I just felt like it is over. You go along thinking it's all good, it's all good, it's all good. Even when you know it's not, you get your mindset, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. And then one day you're like, look, wake up, man. You're not fine. And I don't work things out. I shoot off the shoulder emotionally. So with me, things are very, everything's great or everything's not great. And at that time, it was about as low as it could be. And the thought of having to go and find a job and, everyone's seeing that you've it's not worked out, which they all predicted. And it's just a very lonely place and it's hard. And I felt more responsibility to Andrew because I pulled him into it. It wasn't like we both sat down and said, let's do this. It was I rang him and said, we're doing this. And he put a lot of money in as well. So, he sold his house. I felt really responsible and it was really, really tough.
Knowing you, I'd imagine that was a lot of weight.
Oh, it's horrific
to carry.
It was really hard because for me I didn't have those issues, and that was the sort of thing. But at the end of the day, he chose to take the gamble and all those things that go with it. But so that was real tough, and then it was, yourself. You sort of said, look, let's. Because I think at the time you said you were going to come and mentor us. And when I looked at the expenses of you mentoring us, it was like, well, we can't afford to do anything. So having another, X expense on the books just means we're going to be going down quicker. But I will say that was the turning point really, was the meeting. Because we obviously came down here, we sat with you, and you were fantastic about it. I mean, I want to take the piss out of you a lot. But
you can do that.
I can blow smoke up your butt, etc. But it was a real turning point because it was that point you sort of you stripped it very raw back of get rid of all these expenses, don't do these premium ads and why move. You've just got to focus on doing the actions daily through your database, and these are the things you're going to have to do. These are the things you've got to do. And it was quite simplistic, but it was more, and it was like, I'll mentor you and I'm not going to charge you. And we'll worry about the money when you're out of the other end. So it's almost like you're taking the risk with us.
I've forgotten about that. I can't believe I was that generous, if I'm brutally honest. But I remember that meeting actually quite vividly. It was next door, wasn't it?
Yeah, the three of us were up here, Andrew as well.
And you've got a husband and wife and a business partner
who's put them in
losing money. And you were going through some serious challenges. And I think if that done anything that day, and I think if anyone's listening to this, is sometimes you just got to take a step away and almost like zoom down on what you're doing. And that's let's look at everything, from the costs, the spend, the investments, what are you doing day to day that's actually consistently leading to what you need to be achieving. And it was, I can't remember how many hours we were sat in there. It felt maybe
it was probably 3 or 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours. And I think by the end of it, you'd cut out quite a considerable amount of costs. And then also, not only did you take the costs out, what you had left was investing. It was investing back in the business, but also leaving with a clear plan, things that are non-negotiable. Because I think one of the worst things about being in a good place and successful is you don't look at that stuff. I think people probably did at the beginning of COVID, but you did it, in 2018 or whatever it was. And it allowed you to look at everything and go, is that going to help us in the short, medium and long term? Because one of the things you were saying about the ads and the content, that's a long-term game. It's a long-term game for a long-term gain. It isn't going to fix the first 12 months of running an estate agency. And the more estate agents that do it, the more likely you are to be one of many. It's really a case of making the right decisions. But I do remember that. And it was quite tough to see and watch and see the dilemma. Because like you say, when you put everything on the line, your career, your money, your house, everything goes in. It's a case of, well, look, you've got two choices. You take these things away and do them, or you're going to have to go back and do all of the things that you wanted to move away from, really. Yeah. So your motivation was like, because there's two types of motivation, isn't there? There's like going towards something and then coming away from something. And I think what you guys got that day, it wasn't about, can we turn over 300,000? Can we make 100 grand net profit? It was, I don't want to go back to that. So every time you've got to do the things that we agreed, it's like, well, that's your reason why. And so I suppose finding that was the big thing on that day. And then you being a part of a group of people that were a bit further ahead meant that you could compare yourself. I'm not sure whether you did, but you may have looked at the room and thought, if they can do it, I can do it. Because I think most people don't really necessarily know when you're in amongst all of that sort of stuff, you start to doubt everything and you doubt yourself and you think, is it me? And am I not good enough and everything else? But it's not really that. It's just what you're doing isn't right. And the doing bit, I never felt that you were going to avoid once you were clear.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for anybody listening really is if you haven't got a mentor in your business, you really should think about seriously doing it. And that doesn't even matter whether you're struggling or you're doing okay.
It's having
or
someone
even if
to
you're
go
super
to.
successful.
Yeah.
Statistically, I've read up a lot on mentorship. You're something like 8 to 10 times more likely to get through 5 years with a mentor. And I think that even if you're doing, we've had, obviously the lowest of the low, and we've had some real good times like we're having now. It's been a really good year, but the mentorship never changes. Obviously, you are a mentor, and that will never change because you always need the direction and clarity of the direction you're going and what you're doing, because it's easy to get lost. Even if you are good in business, it's not. Even the top business people have mentors. And sometimes for different things, physical, mental, business. They've sometimes got multiple mentors. So that's a big plus, because it meant that we could have the mentor on board with going forward, and it felt a safer place as well. I remember you saying something to me really vividly when we were leaving, I think, and you said to me something like, you just need to remember that whatever happens, I'm going to make sure you're okay. That's what you said. So in a sense of, even if this goes to shit, I'm going to make sure you're okay. So it was, when I left there, I was like, I felt really good, because it felt like, do you know what? If this does go to shit, he'll put me in. He likes me enough to put me in there somewhere, or help, still help me within this industry in a different format.
I was lying, to be honest.
I bet you were, yeah.
But no, I think, do you know,
really well.
most people, and I'm included in this, is if someone believes in you, it changes you.
It does, yeah.
And we all have this ability, no matter where you are in your levels, to be able to give somebody that. And I think it's a powerful thing to be able to do. And I think you saying that has just brought that back to me, and it's quite nice to hear that, because, I don't think the people that have that ability to give someone some belief, no matter how much maybe they believe it or they don't realise how powerful that is.
No. And also as well, I know you meant it, because you're not the sort of person that will help someone who is lazy or doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I knew it was genuine, and it sort of felt like, do you know what, it doesn't matter now, let's just go for this. And then we literally started in February, and then COVID hit.
It was crazy, wasn't
So
it?
the whole country was locked down.
Yeah.
And that was really probably the best thing that happened, I think, probably for us.
I remember, and I think, business was a challenge at the time for you, but I think you got the lift that you needed going into an event with a different mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's go to that, because that's an interesting point, because when COVID arrived and happened, obviously none of us knew what to do, what to expect. You took on I remember going into the supermarket, and I was shopping for some bits, and we were chatting about community stuff. And obviously we were super focused on speaking to people business-wise, keeping in touch and talking about how they are and what can we do, what do you need from us, etc., etc. You almost went a completely different way. And I really admired you for it, because one of your values was the community.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, just in that moment, and what made you decide to not down tools completely, but
No, I think
it says a lot for who you are.
I think with COVID, I remember when the financial recession happened in 2008, where the global markets all crashed, the banks all started going under. I was in finance at the time, and that sort of everything went to shit. And I remember spending my time watching the news every day excessively about everything that's going on, need to know what's going on, and it just is the biggest mood hoover that you could possibly get, to the point it almost put me into a depressional state. So with COVID, I refused to watch any of it. I actually believed it would last about a week. I think I said to you, I'll be over, but in a couple of weeks. You were like, this won't be over in a couple of weeks. And I didn't have any idea really what was going on. And what was interesting was when they've locked the country down, I sort of realised that the people within the system, the care system, were getting the support. So the people who are ill, elderly, we've already got carers, they're all getting all that support. But there was like loads of vulnerable people who weren't in the care system because they weren't at that stage, but they were still vulnerable, and they couldn't, even go into a shop, you're queuing 2 meters apart down a freezing cold high street to get their medication, and it was very scary times. So I said to Andrew, like, why don't we just get some leaflets in the town out and just say to people, if they need some things done, some shopping or the meds picked up and all that, we'll go and do it for them. Because I don't want to sit around and watch this shit. I want to go out and do something different, do something that matters, and it will help us mentally, because we'll feel like we're giving and helping, which is great, and for the people that need the help, hopefully it will support them. And I said, let's do like 1,000 each, and we'll see what happens. And we ended up there was probably every 1,000 leaflets, we probably got 5 people contact us. And I thought that was unbelievable, like that many people were needing help. And they were genuine cases, some very, very elderly, whose kids lived down in Devon or up north, and they've got nobody around them, and they're but the thought of going out and all of this stuff, and even to get paracetamol, you could get paracetamol in certain places, and I think we had to drive around 5 different shops, end up getting it from a petrol station because you couldn't get the stuff. So we focused all our energy on that, and because what happened is we started doing the leaflets, and then We getting these responses. We started helping people, and then they went through doors of people who know us, like friends or associates or clients, and they were like, "Well, I'll send some leaflets. Like if you drop me the leaflet over, like on the doorstep, we'll take them out because you're only allowed out what it was an hour a day or whatever they said you got to go out walking. So they'd say, I'd rather help, and then that ended up with like 30, 40 people delivering these leaflets all around various towns in Stevenage, Hitchin, Letchworth, Baldock. So, and then we ended up with around, I think it was like 100 and something, 130 people we were managing their shopping, their meds. It was quite incredible. So Andrea loved me because she had that job.
Now, Andrea is your business partner's wife.
Yeah, she was in.
So you delegated that really well, didn't you?
I did delegate that well. I said, well, we're out there delivering the leaflets.
But you've done it, and you've done it for the right reasons. Because first of all, it was all about doing something positive and in a negative time. And I would say that made quite a difference to your brand.
I don't know if it did, Matt.
No, I think psychologically, not that you did it for that, but I think that's a lasting fingerprint, isn't it, on what you see? And I think you've continued the community investment because you've got someone who manages that specifically.
Yeah, Emma works for us. She does all of the community philanthropy. That's the word, isn't it? Works. It's her job. So she's employed specifically to run. She'll probably do 4 or 5 events a year in the community, raising money for PTAs, clubs, schools, and various things, charities. We've got a golf day in September, which she'll get an invite to. So bring a 4-ball down. That's for a local, like Letchworth-based alcohol and drug centre for rehabilitation, and a human trafficking charity over Bedfordshire way, which is what Andrew knows this particular one, so we do it for 2 charities. So we're heavily focused on raising money because you've got to give back. It's quite, and this is the thing with doing it. I didn't want to, someone's like school rings, just says, "Would you help with our raffle?" He's like, "Oh, here's an iPad, or here's, I don't know, a case of wine or a hamper." It doesn't mean anything in my world, in my view. I'm not saying it doesn't. In my view, it's meaningless. When you're actively out there doing something, you raise a lot of money. Emma will raise, she'll stick a massive inflatable down a splash park on a very hot Saturday and take $2,000 on the day, and then the schools PTA are there to support taking the money, and then they get all the benefits. And it's far more community focused thing, far more powerful, far more financial. And there's a cost to that because as a business we have to pay Emma, but that is, my view is you take from your community, you give back. That's what you do. Nice. And she's great. She's very good at what she does. It's not an easy job, No. Especially dealing with councils and getting licensing for all sorts. Some of it's absolutely.
So that's a really positive part of your business and one of your values, isn't it? And
it's a key part of it.
Yeah, and just kind of, coming back to, let's say when you were moving out of COVID, that period of running your business a few years in.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, come out of COVID and it exploded really. It was quite good because we weren't involved with the news, never watched it. Andrew and I neither of us did. So, and luckily we were one of the first industries released back into the wild, if you like. And because a lot of estate agents were doing weird stuff, dressing up like beekeepers to do valuations and shit like that. And we were like, look, it's just, if the client's comfortable, are you comfortable with what's going around? Yeah. So we went round because obviously they wouldn't ring you for valuation if they weren't comfortable. So it didn't really, we were sort of probably a little bit more softer and didn't care as much. And also because we were a small company, there's only myself, Andrew and Andrea, you don't have the layers of regulation and all the employment stuff that you guys would have, for instance, where you got to have like these massive perspex things in front of your fucking staff when people are talking to you. It's just all bonkers looking back on it.
It is bonkers.
It is ridiculous. And so we found it ridiculous. So
That's all right. There's a plastic screen in front of me, and then the next thing you know, you're standing together at the filing cabinet or something. It's just a bit nuts.
It's crazy. So you're walking around with these, So we sort of. So I think it helped us because what it did was I remember some clients saying people wouldn't even go out to them. They were like, oh no, they want to do them on Zoom, like walk around on the camera and they'll value the house. It's like, this is just. So it helped us get a little bit of a lift up. And but I think with us, the biggest thing with us, I think, in terms of how we've moved forward, is our networking has been quite excessive.
I was going to come on to that, because part of your community is also business networking.
That's massive.
Because people frown on it, don't they?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So what's the deal?
I think again, I'm not saying this is estate agents. I'm saying the industry, it can be deemed quite a selfish industry. So there is expectations to get, and the targets are all, list houses. We don't have targets, and we're more with networking. It's all about trying to give to the people who are the businesses around you, and then from that collectiveness, you will gain business. That's how it works.
It's reciprocated, isn't it?
Yeah, so you reciprocate, So obviously we've got properties we're under management. I've got, I think we've got about 80 now. So obviously there's lots of problems with taps and, various things for trades and things like that. And so we've networked horrendous, network both of us every week. We probably get 20% of our turnover comes from networking. And the thing is with us as well is we never worried about becoming a local agent in inverted commas, as in, we want to be number 2 in Letchworth and Baldock for market share. We didn't give a shit, to be honest.
No.
I mean, the focus is always the client, and obviously we sold houses everywhere. I think one of the first houses I sold was in Dartmouth. I think I was down there, went down there for a weekend, took it on, stuck it on undervalue at 15%, ended up with 35 viewings the following weekend, went down Dartmouth the following weekend, did a load of offers and sold it at a really good price. And it's dragged me everywhere, like Derby, Thetford. We think we've sold in 50 different places. We're not, 2/3 of our work is local work, but a third of it is everywhere. Properties I manage commercial sites in Golders Green, and
it makes me laugh in our local Facebook group occasionally, and you get tagged into someone who's asking a Facebook group about selling a house, and then I see your name pop up. It's just they're really good actually. It's probably worth giving them a shout. Yeah, I know. But just coming away from that, or just finishing on that. So the networking thing for you, I think the best way of putting it is what you put in, you do get out. And in a lot of people go to those things wanting leads. And actually, it's not really that's not really the secret, is it?
No. And the thing as well is it's fun. If you get a group of good business people, you're all in the same boat. You're all local business.
Well, you learn as well, don't you?
I mean, also you get loads of advice from the solicitors in their accountants and all that. There's lots of people to feed off for advice, and it's a good social. But you get business out of it, and I completely agree with you. If you go into it with the mindset of, look, what can I give in here? You'll get stacks out of it, and that's what we've always done. And we've had a colossal amount of work out of it. It's been really, really good. Some of the best referrals and work I've done, it's been through the networking sort of route. So if you're not networking, if people are sitting around and they're thinking, there's not quite enough work coming in, or even if they've got enough work and they're earning X amount, but you want to uplift it,
do you think that's a mindset of the industry issue? So in other words,
yeah, I do.
Everything we must do must be about what can we get, as opposed to what can we give, how can we contribute, how can we build better relationships. And I think that's the overview. If someone was listening to this today, is they will hear through you the authenticity, the realness of what kind of business are you? You just mentioned about targets and the fact that I think we at times spilled into some KPIs and we spilled into goal setting and everything else. And what we all realised is we thought it's taking you further away from the identity of the business, which is to focus on customer needs, customer expectations, customer journey, looking at how can we differentiate in that area and be more than worth what we charge as a fee. That was a really interesting learn, especially for Andy as well, your business partner, because it was interesting how his results have catapulted away from that mindset, and his performance has gone with it. So the more he focuses on things he can control, the journey, the experience, how he prices properties, how he builds relationships. Don't be worried about the numbers. Just do this. His results have been significantly better, haven't they?
It's very difficult to mentally actually sit with a client and think, I'm only listening out here for how I can help you on a genuine basis, mate. I'm not talking about. It's easy to say, we all help our clients. We all want them to be brilliant, but the biggest change for us really was when, and this was through again your training mentorship in terms of that switch, when you actually sit there and go, I'm only interested in your needs, and it's genuine, and you try to find solutions, then everything changes.
I think for certain people who have got that desire in them, it's way more natural.
It's not though, not for salespeople. I don't think it is. I think it's quite difficult for salespeople.
No, what I mean is like helping other people is normally more natural than helping yourself,
I see what you mean.
So you're tapping into the naturalistic elements that you've got, because you're going out there not to try and win the instruction. You're actually going out there to solve problems, understand needs, and if we are the agent that can deliver this for you and you're confident in what we're talking about, should we work together? Are we a good fit? And I think that's really been the strength.
It's been a big change.
It's massive change. To the point where now you run a business, again, you're not a high street agent.
No.
You've always been remote, if you like, and you've had periods of working in smaller offices, bigger offices, and you've changed things. You've been quite flexible, working from home. But your team size now is what? If you include what you outsource?
Probably 8 now.
So you've got a team of 8. And you work, what percentage of your time would you say you work on the business rather than in the business?
Not enough at the moment. Well, not enough, end of. I'll probably work on it 20% of the time, if that.
And what's your desire is to work?
70% of it.
Yeah, to switch that around.
Because it's the only way we're going to grow. There's lots of things we can do. But, going back to the thing about the client, wanting to get to the needs of the client, the thing I would say as well, I think one of the things I said to Andrew was when I try and analyse the stats, as you know, all the time, I said to him, realistically, every valuation every time you walk through a door, we're going to bank $2,000. Doesn't matter whether they list with us or not. So at the end of the day, the fear of the instruction is negligible. It doesn't matter. We're going to get pretty much 50% of what we go out to. We're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. We are the most expensive agent in the town by 50%. So the reality is that you just need to know that if you go through the door, you're going to get $2,000. So just sit down and help the person and then leave. It doesn't really make any difference.
I love that mindset.
And that is been a real switch for him because, the listings, when you go into somewhere without any of that sort of fear of needing it, and, some months you'll have good months, some months will not be quite as good.
But it's like, if you look at like your net profit over the last year or so, maybe the last 2 or 3 years, to be fair, it's just gone up exponentially, hasn't it? And you're running a better business. Forget estate agency for a second. You are now, I think you're switching into the place of, I actually run a business.
It's a good model. It's a good model we've got now. But it could be better, which is the next stage, really.
Yeah.
Is the next.
Well, I think anyone can say that.
Yeah, we've got a really good sort of, like you say, the profit to turnover is really, really strong. It's a good team.
What's it a percentage of?
It's about 32%.
Yeah. I mean, if you would have go back again 7 years or whatever it was.
Oh, man, I'd take your hand off.
Would you have gone, that's never going to happen?
Yeah. Well, no, I would never have said that because I always believe you can. I would have said that in 2019 when I saw you here that time.
Yeah.
But no, I think you just beg to be in this position. I mean, I remember talking to Mario, our good friend from Christopher Stokes. I thought I'd plug you there, Mario. Christopher Stokes, Chesson, don't use them. No, but he's
got some good training around offers as well, which is an inside joke. But
But I spoke. I remember him saying, he remembers the days where they're trying to get money in to pay the bills, and then all of a sudden, he's got to a stage where this bucket falls falling in, and he says you just, when you're in that position where you live in hand to mouth so much, you're desperate to get to a position where you just feel more comfortable, and that's the thing. I think you're always one eye open on things. And I think the key now, when you get to the stage of, okay, things are better, well, you've got to be really on your guard to, like you said, what are you spending money on? What are you growing? are you sitting here just saying, well, it's all right now because I've made it, and we'll get this amount of market share and we'll be okay? Well, we're not naive enough to know that many things can change. So you've always got to be moving forward.
I think the good thing about having a small company, a small business, is your agility. You're a lot more agile, so you can actually influence things faster, quicker, and stronger in many ways. And I think actually, I was listening to a podcast yesterday. I can't remember what it was, but it's not as good as this one. but they
Of course not.
They the guy on there was like, most entrepreneurs just want a business which gives them a great lifestyle. They don't want to build. They don't want to be Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. They just want to build that, and I think that's spot on. Most people, though, don't know how to do it, and I think they fall into the easy traps. So if you was to look back at the lessons of the first 3 years versus the last 3 years, and you were to share with the audience maybe what are the things to avoid, traps to avoid, where would you start?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'd put into your business plan that you're going to get yourself a mentor. I'd research the best mentors out there who are industry people, and I'd employ one on a retainer. And that would be the first thing I'd suggest. The second thing is be careful of what you're spending and what things you're actually going, what benefits you're going to get from them. It's so easy to get trapped into Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram ads and all these things where it tells you the next best things come along, and then you
because there was business before those things came along, right? And I think people forget that. I always think that kind of stuff is like it's long-term stuff. You need to do it, but you don't need it in the it won't deliver you anything in the short term. I agree.
A lot of it's crap.
I
agree. I mean, some of it is good. Like you say, the stuff like Chris does is all good, drip, long term. There's farmering landlords and all those sorts of things. That's great. So that's sort of, you turn that on and you look at reaping that maybe 3 to 5 years and you accept it as an expense. But you've got to stick down to the core of the sort of things that the daily actions of what you're supposed to be doing. And that's the thing is to be more structured in what do we do to build because it's not rocket science in terms of getting yourself a decent business model, in the sense of the conversations to have, the networking to do. If all of those things, put yourself out there. If you're just sitting in the office thinking that I'm going to turn on a few Facebook or Google ads and the phone's not going to stop ringing, it's sorely, or put a load of leaflets through the door, you'll have a shock in your hands.
Do you think, if you look back at that period, that maybe you were running a business around what you thought you were supposed to do, but it wasn't necessarily you as well? Because actually the difference I see in the last 3 years is that you're running the business around your true essence, your core essences. So you both have two founders who've got very different roles in the business as well. So you're not both trying to do
I think that was another
big
failing, was that we were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think we were going along very blinkered, because you're just trying to get the money in the bank.
Yeah.
So, you're just doing some lettings, you're doing some sales. There's no real structure. And in fact, the reason the business, in my belief, has gone so well over the last sort of 2 years is because there has been a change. Andrew's more sales focused. He's had a lot of support from you and the group that he works with, your agency, Elite
I mean,
Group.
that group that he's in is brilliant. I mean, the group that we had was fantastic. We still keep in touch. We were just talking about that. The power of that network, though, is so important. And I think Andy's garnered loads from the other guys in that, massive.
It's big time helped. So he's more sort of focused on that and that journey, more confident in it. It's helped a lot. And then it's a case of, so the lettings, since he's done that, lettings has grown nearly 50% in 2 years.
Which is against the industry as well. I love bucking the trends, and I think you've bucked the trends on profit, you've bucked the trends on lettings growth. You've employed more people as well. So you've really gone off down a different pathway and journey. But it just feels like it's your business. And one of the mistakes I perhaps made when I was trying to mentor people in the early days is I was trying to get them go down the route that I would have gone down.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that everyone's journey is different. Everyone's idea of what a business needs to be for them is different. You know, it doesn't need to turn over 3 million quid a year or 10 million quid a year. You know what, if it turns over £500,000 a year and there's a healthy net profit margin and you get to choose who you work with. I mean, how powerful is that? Not only work with in terms of clients, but also the people you surround yourself with. And I just look at your enjoyment of what you do, you know, and I think that's a really good measurement.
Yeah,
of
it's a lot of fun. It is a lot. Yeah, it's great. I mean,
because I don't think many people are enjoying entrepreneurship at the minute.
probably not.
Well, no, they're not. I mean, I was in Ollie and I were in town. We had a little walk this morning, didn't we? We bumped into a guy that I know who runs a kitchen business, which was his dad's. It's over 50 years. I can't remember exactly how long it's been going. And we were just chatting away to him about the ups and the downs, and he was giving his thoughts on things. And there was somebody else that I'd spoken to already today, a couple of developers. They're just about to give us 3 new builds, which is great. And we were talking about the economy and how crap it is and everything else. And I think one of the things I picked up earlier, and I wonder whether you guys listening to this took that away. You said you don't watch or listen to the news.
Never.
Now, I had a period of years when I didn't touch the news, didn't listen to news, didn't follow anyone news related. And I'd say in the last 3 years, though it's a lot less than it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I still have moments, probably because I know people in the political space a bit more now, and maybe you get embroiled in those things. But largely speaking, it doesn't help you, does it?
It does nothing for you. It's the worst thing you can ever do, because everybody talks about, you know, this, that, and the other news. The news has an agenda, and it doesn't matter whether you watch BBC, Sky, ITV. They've got an agenda. They're trying to send you down a certain route. They're never giving you positive shit. It's always negative. It's always, this is going to happen. A lot of it isn't factual of what's going on inside the room, you know, even in relation to the war and everything that's going on. And to be honest with you, you can't change it.
No.
So what's the point in watching it? You're absorbing your. I remember. You said to me years ago, stand guard at the door of your mind.
Yeah.
You know, and that a lot of that comes from your screen.
It does.
If you're going to watch
who are you watching?
shit,
Who are
and
you
you're going to watch
listening to?
negative things, and
Yeah.
you're going to be around negative people, you're going to let those people fester in your head.
You just have to look at the groups that we talked about earlier on.
Yeah.
When we come off every single call, my aim is for us to close any call, any session, any event that I do, any speech, is to leave people feeling inspired and a bit clearer than when they join. Because I think there is a lot of noise, isn't there? But I think that's choices. It's choices. You can choose to listen to the news. You can choose not to listen to the news. You can choose this. You can choose that. But the power of choice is, what is that choice? What are the consequences of that decision? And it's not to kind of like make anyone feel like they shouldn't. Is that moving the needle in the right direction for you?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I used to watch Scooby-Doo in the morning. Like, people used to go to watch the news. No, I watch Scooby-Doo. I'd rather watch a stupid dog run away from a ghost than the shit that goes on BBC News Flare.
Yeah.
Because it's far more amusing and puts a smile on my face before I leave the house.
Well, it's interesting though, isn't it? Like I say, putting a smile. I know humour is quite a big part of your world, and that's what I really enjoy our conversations, because you end up laughing half the time. And sometimes, you know, you've had some, bar the business challenges, you had a period not that long ago when you had some real personal challenges as well. And I remember meeting you at Y Boston, and I don't you know, I remember it again quite well, because, you know, being a mentor, it's not always just about business. It's just a bit of everything really at times. But I remember seeing you and listening to you, and there was nothing else I could really say. It was just, I was going to make sure that you knew that it was going to get better. But beyond that, I didn't know how long it was going to take. But
it was tough. It was 3 right hooks I had. The thing is, I'm pretty resilient, but you get hit sometimes. You can take it as just part of life, part of being a leader and all those things. But I just had 3 of them real bad. I'd ended a relationship. Then my dad died, and then I had a major problem in the football club. accusations of racism and all this sort of stuff. It was manager decided to tell everybody that, we were this, that, and the other. So all the first team players left. So it was a horrific time. It was really, really tough. And then obviously this is all outside of the business, nothing to do with what's going on in the business, which is going all right. So it was really tough. And I think that, but I think like you said before with the 2009 things, I enjoy these moments more because they do. I know that it's going to make you stronger, and you're going to learn a lot from it. Even with all the Eagles stuff that happened with the football club, I just sort of thought, I'm going to be so much of a better leader through this, and I'll be a stronger person through it, for it, and it's going to help me a lot in the future. I always find that those things, whereas 6-7 years ago, you get absorbed in self-pity and you worry about stuff. Now I enjoy it more in a sort of weird way. It's not that I want it. I certainly don't want it. Yeah. I like a happy life and no drama. I mean, don't get me wrong.
But it's not realistic, is it?
It's not realistic. Something's come around the corner where something's going to happen, and it's all about how you deal with it. I think that's the critical part, is how you go, look, I'm going to deal with this in a certain way. And in the main, touch wood, I've dealt with it all right. So, and that's sort of really...
Do you think that mindset, like, across, I suppose what I'm getting at is, there's a perspective, isn't there? And that's another choice. You can choose to look at, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So when you're going through a real dark time or a dark moment, you can say that this is going to define you and it's everybody else's fault. Or you can go, this is going to make me even stronger. I've just got to get through it.
I mean, a lot of that again is mentoring, Matt. I mean, I remember losing a listing. We listed it, and she wanted to take it off the market to put it on another agent. I was fucking devastated. We hardly had any houses on. And I remember ringing you going, she's doing this, and I've told her that they're just talking bollocks and blah, blah, blah. I went through all this stuff with you. And then at the end of it, you just said, I'll tell you what, this is going to be the best day you've ever had at Ladysbrook. And literally stopped me in my tracks. Like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, what? And you were like, this is going to be the best day you've ever had. Your learning from this is going to be brilliant. And I was like, oh, yeah. I suppose it is. And it was a total game changer for me, because it was like, and you were like, you need to find out why, and you need to change why, not try and save what has already happened. It's happened because of you. Yeah. And so you just you've got to see what it is. Yeah. So that's what we did. So it's like, you looked into it. Did we not communicate that? Did we do that? Because all the time you spend your time going, well, she did this, she did that. She hasn't communicated this, she hasn't communicated that.
Well, you go down a path, don't you? And it's like
blame culture, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and it's a never-ending path then. And then further forward. In fact, you're further backwards.
Because all you do is, if you spend your time doing that, you're not going to do any better for the clients coming. You're going to do the same stuff, which means you're going to lose a certain number of people. And it was good. It was a good action. So I sort of try and live to that even now. If things go wrong, it isn't going, well, whose fault is it? Let's have a look round, which is what 95% of people do.
They do. 95% do, and they carry it on. They carry that with them, and it stays with you. That energy, isn't it? It's like fucking negative. It's like we lose people. We've had 4 people leave in the last 6 months. Go back 8, 9, 10 years ago, I'd have took that personally. I don't take it personally, because they're all different reasons and they're different seasons, and they'll go and do their thing, and many will go on and do better maybe, and maybe they won't, but I'm not really that interested. The thing I want to know is that is there something we could have done? Is there something we should have done? Or have we just done the right thing? And it's sometimes that certain things happen for a reason. That's it.
And also, it can be
it's just like it is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, and I always see, like, anyone, like, one of the biggest things in business when you run your own company is you can take a lot of things personally, but most of the time people aren't going out of their way to get at you. They're going through their own shit.
It is great to own the problem and go, oh, great, what have I done here? To work out why something's happened. Because even though sometimes you can go through it and go, well, that wasn't really your fault for whatever reason, But I guarantee you're going to find one or two things that you've done wrong that you think, well, actually, I could change those things. It's not about looking for why, whose fault it is. It's then going, it's happened. What do we do with that moving forward?
Most people win or blame, right? They win or blame. They don't win or learn. They win and blame. So when the going's good and things have happened really well, they're the first person to peacock themselves. I'm the best. It's all down to me. And then when things aren't going very well, it's let me find someone who I can pin the tail on that donkey, And actually, most of the time, what we encourage and what I encourage, and I know certainly Melissa does when she does the coaching for us, is to create self-awareness. Because self-awareness, one of the things we spoke about, I remember many years ago, and you might remember this, is that you've got a gift of emotional intelligence. I was talking to Jude about this the other day, because academically, I wouldn't say he's as advanced as some of his pals, but he, maybe there's various reasons for that. He's easily distracted, reminds me of someone. He loves chatting, reminds me of someone. But I said to him, you've got gifts that are unique and so powerful and so strong. I said, in the days ahead, the years ahead, people are going to be leaning towards things that are outside of themselves to run their lives, whether it's AI, social media or whatever. And I said, you've got this strength of being able to talk to people and communicate. And I said, son, that's going to be your secret weapon. So whatever happens at school, as long as you try your best, that's the only deal, try your best. I can't say I did all the time when I was at school. But I enjoyed school. I enjoyed school because of the social element to it. I didn't enjoy sitting in the lessons because maybe I've got some challenges around that area, get distracted, whatever. But what I see in him is that, that's so important for him to know that. And I think what you and with your emotional intelligence, it was like, Simon, you're not tapping into it. Like, you've got a gift. You're able to read situations, read people, but you're not reading your own game. You're blaming people, mate. Don't give that power to somebody else. Own it, figure it out, move forward. And I tried that with a lot of people back then to create awareness around ownership, and got really lambasted by some people when you say everything's my fault. Because I think if everything is my fault, albeit you could contest a lot of that, you end up, it's got to be black and white for you to move on. Yeah. That's the point. If you want to give it to somebody else and they just play around with it, you've lost all of that power and you've lost that control, and all of a sudden you're then in their heads and they're in your head, and it's like, that's just not life. No. We're not here to worry about what other people think and go down that pathway. And I think what you've done over the years is you've not took stuff like that personally.
No.
You're quite objective about it.
That was probably the biggest learning curve at that point. I think that might have been when you told me to read the Law of Attraction.
God, yeah, it probably was.
I think
because what you get, what you focus on, right? Which is a bit woo-woo for I don't know, how old are you, Simon?
I'm only 30.
We're a couple of male, pale and stale kind of guys, and we're talking about law of attraction. We're not the usual type to maybe talk about that. But what it basically says, if you haven't read it or listened to it, is you get what you focus on. Yeah. And if you focus on, I'm going out to a listing, I've just lost 2 because somebody else had undercut my fee, instead of going, I've lost those 2 listings because I didn't build enough trust. I didn't actually focus on them. I focused on me. I wanted to get the instruction, not win the relationship. Your focus switch, you could switch that focus straight away, change perspective, and you'll have a better appointment. Don't worry about whether you get it or not. The one thing you need to ask yourself when you leave, or ask the client, is, do you trust me? Am I the kind of agent that will get you to where you want to go or whatever? So, a change of perspective is important. I learned this recently, GPS. Gratitude, perspective, service. When you're in a shit time, it's hard to be grateful for it. But there's things that have happened in your life that you should be grateful for. Yeah. Some of them are hard lessons, going through those periods. Mine was my brother and various other things. But actually, what's it taught me? What's it given me? What's it gave me in terms of strength and resilience and those kind of things? Gratitude for some of the smallest things, because you might not be able to think of some of the bigger ones in that moment. But when you're in a darker place, gratitude's a real light that you can shine on that. Then you change the perspective. Because, like I said, if you change the way you look at things you look at change. Going back to the listing scenario, which affects a lot of people in our business, or people leaving someone. The perspective, you choose the perspective. You can choose to be grateful. You can choose to be self-serving or serving others. I know which one works really well for most people. It's actually, why do most people, when you give them the choice to do something for somebody else or do it for yourself, they would go and do it for somebody else first? Because naturally we want to serve other people, help other people. So you've built a business around that in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's changed things for you exponentially. How has that helped you run the football club? Because you've been a chairman there for how long now?
Probably seven years. I think I've been the chairman. I think with the football club, I've aligned it a lot with the business in the sense of what I learned this is why giving something back to community in something like football, it's a thankless task being a chairman of a club. Obviously, you get no money, voluntary. We've got a lot of players, there's 600 odd members, I think, but there's some fantastic people in the club. And I think that what's been great about doing it is when you work in a business, you pay people to do a job.
Yeah.
So there's expectations. I pay you, so get on with it. Realistically, it's obviously not the way I manage people, but that is what you're sort of thinking. Whereas in a football club, it's voluntary. So you're having to lead people on a journey. You're not there to tell people that they need to be doing shit because they'll just tell you to go do one. So it's a very different mentality. But the thing that's interesting about it is it's exactly the same in how I run both. It's not. I don't look at.
Did you always run it the same though?
Well, I suppose I wouldn't say I did. No, I wouldn't say I did. The thing that, actually, I would say I did. The thing, because one of the biggest things I had with growing Laysbrook, the big 3 or 4 years ago, was you try and do everything, and I was doing the same with the Eagles. Yeah. So there's a problem. I can fix that. I'll go and fix it. So. And obviously, when you're trying to get a business off the ground, you're trying to just get it off the ground. Yeah. And it's only really over the last 3 years that the leadership side of everything has transitioned. Mm. And the football club is a totally different ballgame from what it was 3 years ago in terms of how it's set up, the committee that I've got, the structure of how it works, and it's modelled around.
How did you get that mindset to switch from being someone that, because a lot of small sole traders, small limited company businesses find it really hard to let go?
It is really difficult. I won't deny it. It's been the thing for I think what I did was, I said to you last year, I had a year where my word was delegate, and that was in everything. It was not just in Laysbrook, it was in Eagles, it was in everything. It was like, you do too much, you're busy doing all the things that you don't need to be doing, because you just think you can do it better, or you just think that it's easier to just do it rather than train it, because by the time I've trained it I can just do it and it'll just be far quicker. So you spend all these little 10-minute jobs, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's the thing though, isn't it? If you think it's better or easier, you're fucked.
You are. And the bottom line is, as long as it's 70% of what you think you can do it at, and half the time you learn that somebody can do it better than you anyway.
And isn't that that's like one of those moments, isn't it? When you're like, wow, I didn't even know that. And I love that, by the way. Like, I've gone from probably, when you're certainly working with a client to sell the house, it's not just us selling it, you're selling it with us, and it's that delegation. It's also, if we're going to show people around, I want this to look A1, I don't want to be pissing around, tidying up your house to sell it for you at the best price. You need to be able to take the responsibility for getting it presented correctly, and I'll do the appointment or whatever. And now in business with a estate agency, building a platform, which we are for agents to get mentoring, to get accountability, to get coaching, to get training, to get data, software, brand, assets, how to do things. We know that's about empowering people around us. It's about giving them the lift off, the belief to go and be the type of agent they believe they can.
And you've also got responsibility as well.
You've done that.
As the person running these things, I feel responsible more.
Yeah,
And-
it's your responsibility.
because
Yeah.
you know, it's not about you taking the glory for all the good things that are going on.
But you're
It's feeling-
responsible for
it's-
holding them accountable,
it's-
though,
but
aren't you?
also you feel responsible that you want them to do well because you want it to be a collective. The biggest thing I had with the football club is I run it with my heart, not my head, for too long, which caused me a lot more problems than I should have anticipated.
Yeah, is that when because in those environments you get people that don't want to change and stuff like that? Is that when you take things
But also,
personally?
people just sometimes you want everyone to have all the information, and actually having all the information is not a good thing.
Well, I think the thing is, it's got to be heart and head, hasn't it? But the trouble is, when it is your heart, you can feel like a punch bag.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean like I've got no heart in the club. I meant that that's what ruled the
Yeah,
running of it,
yeah.
you
No, I know,
Hedges,
I know.
Laysbrook,
Yeah,
heart
yeah,
was,
yeah.
you know, I've got heart in Laysbrook. It was more, you know, I've got to look at this now and run it as that, in the sense of the structure's got to work, because everybody wants good structure.
Yeah.
And what you think you're doing for the good of things actually ends up being the worst thing you can do, which has really sort of helped kick it on. So it's really good to run two things like that, because one is you're not paying people, and they're on this journey because they're doing it for their community and they want to be part of what we're building together. It's not as a football club, where we're going forward. And then you've got a business where obviously people have got a job and they're paid to do, paid to be there, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very interesting running those two in tandem of how, similar in many ways, but how structurally different they are.
Yeah, and I think like there's loads. There's a lot of lessons in here, aren't there today? Who would have thought it? We were doing a podcast together.
Well, there you go.
What's your fee? What's your fee? What's your fee? What's your fee? I want to say thank you.
Yeah, pleasure, mate.
And put it on the record how proud I am of you, mate, as well.
Thank you very much.
You and Andrew and the team. You've learned, and learning's one of the things that's really important to me. Your community is for us as well, but more so learning. I think the highest learners are the highest earners, and they're people that, like you, have kind of gone, do you know what? I can't do this on my own, or I feel alone, or I'm not sure what to do. Seek advice. Well, not from me, it's from anyone. There will be people that that can help you. And I think it's like you've got to put your ego aside, isn't it? Definitely. And I think that's a real powerful lesson for today, along with lots of other ones. These unfiltered, more kind of undercover agents like Simon are out there. There's plenty of people doing it, but they're not on social media telling everyone. And I love that. And that's what I'm kind of really connected to, is people that have got a bit more of a story that maybe needs to be told. So if you're one of those and you're watching, please message me. But you've got to follow me first. On Instagram, I'm joking. On Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever. But the more important conversations like this, the more help we can give the industry. Definitely. Because the industry is a good industry. For someone like myself who left school with no qualifications really, and ended up just really liking to help people and so on and so forth, and what you've achieved as well. Keep watching. I mean, look, I'd love you to message me if you want to be on the show. I'm not overly organised with these things, but I know the right guests when I hear from them, because you want to give value, and that's what we're doing. So keep coming on the journey with us, and I'll see you on the next one.